So, what we need to do is try and do a little bit more of an in-depth look to see if there's anything screaming and shouting at me that I need to look at first. But I guess I've tried to do a bit of a take on or initial impressions as to what I think needs doing, and there's a couple of things to highlight, right? I know these wheels that they have some form of wheel bearing, you know. I'm only talking about from my car days. I know when a bad wheel bearing is as to when you hear a load of noise, grumbling noise, and this is what these have, right? You can listen carefully. So when I do that and do that with the other one as well, the noise is there, okay, for both. So I don't know whether or not that needs to be, that's normal, but I know that if that was in a car, then you'll want that replaced. No, and that'll be signs of a bad wheel bearing. So I'm going to need to look that up. That's going to be one of the things that I need to do. And a more of an obvious one as well is I'm going to strip the parts down so that I can then see really what the frame is like. And frames do get a bit bent up and twisted as to if they're in a bit of an off, or if they're in a shunt, or for whatever reason, and they need to get jigged. So I think they go on a flat platform and then get kind of straightened out, I suppose. Another obvious thing is going to be the brake system. I know that you can, this brake system and these pads, they have a cylinder in there, and they also have seals, rubber seals, and the blokes assure me that it's absolutely fine to run on. You can run straight away from this, but I'm a little bit unsure. So what I'm going to do is probably I probably would have to get some form of a rebuild kit and go from there. The pedals is one thing that I'm a bit unsure of as well. I don't know if you can see, but it's a bit it's a bit pissed, isn't it? Really, it's not really that flat. And when you have a look, it just moves a bit too much from what I would think that you need to do. And when you go and use the brakes, I don't know how long this will travel, but see that just hitting on that when you get to it, but it moves a bit. So something needs addressing with these pedals. Maybe the alignment, maybe there should be a bush or something like that in between there. And I know that it shouldn't be like that, because I would anticipate there being quite a lot of wear marks from this nut, and there really isn't. So something's going to need addressing out of that, that's for sure. I don't see any problems with the accelerator pedal, but like I said, I'm going to have to sort this out and get that taken off, but that'll end up being with the strip down of it. And I will probably need to look at the steering as well. I'd have to try and analyse to see if the steering rack is bent, or do you know what's this called? Tie rod, is it? I honestly don't know, but I'd have to make sure that these are all straight and true, and make sure that if I need to, I'll just get new ones, right? That's not the end of the world. But if they're completely fine, then there makes no sense for me to change it. So I'm going to have to check out the whole steering compartment as well. The axle, I'm not actually too entirely sure how that's going to look like. I also don't know much about what axle this is. From looking online, I believe that you're meant to have different axles for different weather conditions, or softer ones, or stiffer ones, or longer ones. I'm completely unsure right now, but that's again something else that I'm going to have to do. I also don't know what the hell this is for. It's definitely a bracket to somewhere. I've not looked at photos, but we'll just have to get that looked at as well. And that's going to be the first kind of main jobs. I'm going to strip it down, try and get it down to the frame, and then move forward with looking at the parts individually to make sure that it's all safe and there's nothing screaming and shouting at me that we need to get done. So it's been quite a while actually since I've done the last clip of the walk around with the car. There's been some more things that I found that I need doing and need changing, which I'll come to in another video. But what you probably noticed in my previous video that I needed an engine. And as you can tell, that is not a Rotax engine. So let me explain. It's been about 4 or 5 weeks since I've done the original video. Thanks to everyone's comments, likes and new subscribers. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I just fancy showing you what I am trying to do anyway. So I hope you stick around. I've been looking for a second-hand Rotax engine, and I've got to be honest, it's a bit like a second-hand car market, or probably worse. There's loads of people saying it's a good engine, it's run well, it's got low hours, only to find out that it's been to the moon and back, it's not been looked after. And I was a bit out of my depth. I didn't really know enough to be able to make a sound judgment when buying an engine. Looking at a new package, it was about just a little over 3 grand. So I didn't want to spend that money, couldn't spend that money. I still want to do Club 100 racing, and my play money, my financial play money, goes towards that mainly throughout the whole weekend. But I still wanted to use the kart where possible. And scrolling through social media, it popped up Access Karting and GX200 series. So I looked at what the hell that was, and what they're trying to do is to really reduce costs of owner-driver karting with a normal weekend of racing, which I've not been used to or been a part of before, but try and utilise the chassis and rolling chassis that are out there that might not be up to like your NKC standards, but are still good enough to be used, and they're cheap. And that's kind of where my CRG kart come into play for about 300 quid. Now, their motto is they're going to be utilising GX Honda engines, but utilising like an OTK, a Tony kart, which is like what you plug a Rotax engine on. It requires little or no fettling, so I've been told by the videos, and it's just a swap of the axle and then an engine mount, and then obviously utilising the engine. So it's meant to be low cost, low entry, for a new season that's starting up next year. I'm going to give that a go. As you can tell, I've committed to giving that a go now. There's different weight classes, different engine capacities. So GX160s are used for the lighter ones, GX200s are used for the heavier guys, and it's meant to be aimed at close racing on a budget, but with the benefit of staying, I guess, an introductory phase to owner karting. And that's kind of what I need to do. I need to get used to being in that environment of staying away, getting used to maintaining the kart, the setup, the engine. And I wouldn't have been able to maintain a Rotax engine with my knowledge as opposed to a Honda engine. And it's just one engine, right? So it's going to be, as opposed to pro karts that have twice the power because of twice the engines. This one's maybe just going to be one engine, so it might be a little bit slower. I'm unsure yet. Maybe a lighter chassis, because you've not got all the additional add-ons needed. But I want to give it a go. So that's going to be my plan moving forward. If I don't like it, if I don't like the series, or the series don't catch on, I'll sell the engine. It's a GX200 one as well, and I think there's new regs for the younger lot that require to have that style of engine. So I can flog that and then just chuck a Rotax engine on when I'm good and ready, when I'm a bit more knowledgeable about the engines, and I've got more money. So that's going to be my plan moving forward. My next video is going to be where I run you through what's required to do the amendments, if you like, to the existing chassis, and I'll run you through what I've got, what I need to change, and we'll get going with that build. So stick around, hopefully you enjoy it, and the end goal will be, we've got the first sprint series, which is a taster or trial day, which is at Stretton Circuit, which I've not been to before, and that is, what's the date today? It's 13th of July, and that series opens up, I think, on the 6th of August, I think it is. So I've not got that long now to do, but I'm slowly buying the parts. So I hope you stick around and enjoy the next couple of vids of me trying to apply this onto the kart and trying to work out what else is needed. Cheers. Right, so the main thing that I've learned about the Honda series, or the GX Senior series, is in order to fit the engine, the chain that is normally run on the outside for Rotax needs to be run on the inside. And the axle that I have here, which is what normally is used, They're keyways, so you see there's a hole there. There's also the actual keyway lodged in there. Now I need to have that here, or roughly here, I believe. So by doing that, I've bought an inboarded axle. So I need to take off this axle, undo the parts that will allow me to do that, which is the bearing carriers, the grub screws. I'm hoping it should slide out. I need to probably remove that disc as well, probably. I don't know, we'll find out. Once I get to slide it out, I'm then going to try and put the other one that I've got, the inboarded one, in, and that should allow me to then have the chain carrier, forgive me, I'm butchering these words as well, and be able to align it so that the chain can then go on the inside, because where the engine mounts, the clutch sprocket will probably go about here, and that's where it needs to line up. So that's the main thing that you really need to do in order to move into this GX series. Everything else that I've done have probably had to come off anyway. I was never going to fit in that junior seat, like I'm never going to be able to do it, and I needed to take off the parts that were Evo or Rotax related, so then just assess what I've got. I'm going to put it on a bit of a time lapse now to start getting on with it, and we'll see how we get on.